A triple expansion steam engine that needs some attention, part 11. Setting the slide valve timing of the high and low pressure cylinders, plus refitting the condenser, vacuum and water circulation pumps, followed by the lower set of cylinder drains. I'm going to start this episode in the same way that I intend to finish it, with the engine running on the bench using compressed air. There's still a way to go to make this into a really good quality perfect engine, but I would do that as a separate rebuild. As the engine didn't run at all when I bought it, this series is really just about making it run. And now it's time to set the high pressure cylinder's slide valve timing. When setting timing of slide valves on steam engines, the first thing that you need to know is the direction of rotation, relative to which eccentric is driving the valve at any given time. This clip shows the valve gear set so that the outer eccentric is driving the valve. And this makes the engine's crankshaft rotate in a clockwise direction as you look at it. During the setting of the valve timing on a miniature steam engine or even a full-size one, you must never rotate the crankshaft the other way, because the backlash in the valve gear train will give you a false reading of the position of the slide valve on the cylinder's inlet ports. The first attempt at setting this high pressure valve wasn't the best setting I've ever done. But with a bit of obsessive tweaking with the timing of both of the eccentrics, it started to run a lot better. In my opinion, and from my experience, the best way to set valve timing on a steam engine is each cylinder separately. And in my other series about a triple expansion engine called Completing a Stuart Triple Expansion Engine, I will be timing each cylinder individually. But with this one, I just want to get it running, so I'm busking it a bit. The engine's not sounding too brilliant at the moment, but most of that is because the engine is sat on my workbench, which has a built-in soundboard. In this clip I've pulled the expansion link across by turning the reversing lever, and now it's the inner eccentric that's operating the valve, and the engine of course is going to go counterclockwise. I made the necessary adjustment to the position of the inner eccentric sheave to get the timing right. The way this engine's been made, it has independently adjustable eccentric sheaves, which in my humble opinion is the best way to do it because you can set the timing of both the eccentrics individually, which makes the engine run perfectly in both directions. I turned up the air pressure and the engine was skipping a little bit. I don't think it likes that amount of pressure. On one side of the engine there are two pumps. The larger pump is the vacuum pump for the condenser and the smaller pump is the water circulation pump for the condenser. Both of these pumps are driven from the crossheads with extension pieces. Once I fitted them, I thought it would be a good idea to flood them with oil. And here I'm doing just that. Once the pumps were both fitted, it was time for another run. Now the engine has quite a different sound to it. The vacuum pump makes a peculiar noise. The main thing is the pumps are working fine and they've got plenty of lubrication, so I don't see too many problems with these two parts. The sound of the engine though has definitely changed. I stopped the engine and removed the high pressure steam chest cover. And with the steam chest cover removed, the valve has no real function. It just allows me to see whether or not it's in the right position, and it's not far off. Here I'm opening and closing one of the cylinder drain taps on the intermediate cylinder to see what difference it makes to the sound. Here I've slowed down the video to 25% and you can clearly see how the valve moves up and down, uncovering each of the ports. What you can't see though is at the same time the valve is coupling each of the ports to the central exhaust port, and in the case of the low pressure cylinder, what's left of the steam goes to the condenser. The setting of the low pressure cylinder wasn't far off, but I still gave the thing a bit of a tweak because I thought, well, I can get it better than this. I changed the relative positions of both of the eccentrics. So this cylinder is timed correctly now. I thought I'd have a bit of break from timing and get my Loctite 542 out and fit the lower cylinder drains. These small valves from Stuart models are nearly £100 for 6. That's probably why the original builder of this engine fitted steam locomotive types, which were a bit on the leaky side. These type of taps are notorious for leaking too, but if you tighten the nut on the top that pulls the taper plug into the hole, they don't leak at all. But then the tap becomes non-functional, which really isn't a problem on very small steam engines like this one. Time for another compressed air run, and the difference is astounding. The original valves that were fitted all leaked, and now they're not doing, and there's a noticeable difference in everything about the engine. Possibly because I've altered the timing for an earlier admission, which cushions the reciprocating parts. You can't do that if the drain taps are leaking. I'll see what it's like in the other direction. That's not bad. The sound is different because the camera's having a listen to the sound made by the vacuum pump, which sort of goes fap, 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 fap all the time. Also, I've pumped quite a lot of oil into the inlets of both the water pump and the air pump, just so they don't wear out. Changing the subject slightly, yesterday was not a very good day. All day my friend Rob and myself were outside in the garage. That's where my large Showman's engine lives, and it's also where my central heating boiler is too, along with loads of rats that got in. A pest control man came out and put some poison down, and that annihilated them, but they were still in the garage smelling really bad, and I couldn't see where they were. Then I found a dead one behind the central heating boiler, but the garage still smelt very bad, despite me pouring a full bottle of bleach into the area where I found the deceased rat. The floor of the garage is just hardcore, just like my path. A Type 1 hardcore base with granite chippings on the top, and it's worked fine up to now until the rats got in through a very small hole in the wall. It was interesting figuring out how they'd got in through this small hole that I mentioned, but it wasn't very visible because once they got into the garage, they plugged the hole with some insulation that they took from inside the actual central heating boiler unit. Most of the time though, while they were in the garage, they were digging up the floor, trying to dig tunnels through the hardcore into the soil underneath. And to make matters worse, we found another even larger rat inside the central heating boiler. And in my workshop I had to make a special dead rat removal tool, which was a long piece of wood that I drilled at an angle and put 2 nails in, and I managed to drag the rat out through a hole in the back of the unit. Something a bit different, but I didn't want to make a video about it. After oiling the engine, it seemed to run extraordinarily well, apart from the odd popping noise as the vacuum pump ejects the bubble of oil. And that's it for this episode featuring a triple expansion engine that needs some attention and rat removal. I'll leave the engine running until the end of the video. I'd just like to say, as always, stay healthy, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Main Steam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.